He'll face Loyola's Andre Jackson. Sixth man of the year in the Valley a year ago. Now he's a starting force for the Ramblers. Ramblers and Panthers, college basketball, matinee style in Milwaukee is next. Yes, may the force be with you. Luke, I'm your father, etc., etc. Star Wars Day being celebrated here in Milwaukee. We'll see stars in the stands and stars on the court as two old Horizon League foes go at it this afternoon at Panther Arena as the Loyola Ramblers take on the Milwaukee Panthers. And greetings, everybody. Bob Brainerd along with my partner. He's former Panther, Justin Lettenberger. When you look at the matchups, there's some numbers that jump off the page here, Justin, and that is three-point shooting. Could decide this matchup today. Milwaukee needs to defend it better because Loyola, they'll shoot you lights out from behind the arc.
Yeah, Loyola comes into the game knocking down 8 triples a game, and Milwaukee really has struggled defending that three-point shot the last 2 games, giving up over 10 threes a game.
Mentioned Jeremiah Bell. He's been coming off the bench, providing some power for Milwaukee offensively. Brock Stull has sat out the last 2 games. He returns today, but Jeremiah gets the starting nod as well. Reward for him.
Yes, definitely. Good to have Brock back today in the starting lineup, but it's nice to see Jeremiah Bell really picking up the slack in the scoring column these last 2 games, averaging over 20 points a game.
And we mentioned the three-point arsenal that is Loyola. Look at the numbers for these guys. They are lights out. They've got a lot of guys who can also shoot it lights out, so you can't key on just one of them. But Andre Jackson, if you're going to focus on one guy, here's the guy.
Andre Jackson, reigning 6th man of the year in the MVC, preseason first team all MVC, but can score in a number of different ways, but really does a nice job playing with his back to the basket, but also look for him to pick and pop off the 3.
Starting lineups for each side.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
And some changes for both Porter Moser and Pat Baldwin. Clayton Custer, their junior guard, is out for the Ramblers, so you plug in Towns, Williamson, Ingram, Jackson, and Krutwig. And again, Brock Stull returning from little right knee action that he suffered a couple games ago, but he's back, Justin, and that's a big get for Milwaukee.
Yeah, important for Milwaukee to be quick out the gate here because fast starts have led to their success. They're 5-0 on the season when they lead or are tied at halftime. So really important the Panthers really come out strong and shoot the ball well.
And just good to be home if you're Milwaukee. Haven't been here since a game on December 2nd against Montana State. Ramblers in the traveling maroon and gold. They're going left to right. Big guy Cameron Krutwig, only a freshman, but he'll get plenty of looks and plenty of touches. 3-ball Jackson to start it off. Rims off, and Bryce Barnes on the push. Ball swing to Bell on the left wing. On the post, Enzi. Dump down to Prawl. Great look.
And that's what you want to see out of Milwaukee is, ball movement and just finding the open guy and having that patience on offense. And you saw it in that position with Enzi noticing the double team and dumping it down to Prawl for the easy finish.
There's Krutwig on the block. Working hard, but the overlay by Jackson.
And that's what Milwaukee has to be careful of, is Krutwig getting that ball at the high post area, at the free throw line area, and looking for Jackson in that duck in. Positioning is going to be key for the post defenders.
Enzi another touch. Twisting, turning, falling short. Marcus Towns into the front court. Williamson. Krutwig. Little baby hook with the left hand is good.
He's got such a soft touch around the rim and doesn't play like a freshman. And looking at him in some of the game tape, he's really does a nice job as far as communicating with his teammates on the floor and just positioning himself well on the block.
He's dangerous. Had 17 and 7 in his debut off the bench for Wright State in a game against Wright State. As Milwaukee answers to go up 4-2. Ingram, the senior, to Towns, the junior. Back to Ingram. This is a back down. Stull is there.
This is where they look to isolate Ingram because he can play on the perimeter, but he can also, if he has a mismatch, he can play inside. In a position like that, he was able to get Stull done on the block and use that length to elevate it and shoot right over him.
Ties it at 4. Bell, bounce feed to Prawl, up and under, is short. Again, Milwaukee finding openings and niches. That one off the mark by Ingram.
And those are the shots that you want Loyola to take. No ball movement and just quick shot early in the shot clock.
NZ to Barnes. Bell. Stull with 13. Jump step. Squeezes the up and under, and Hoop wouldn't have it.
Great move there by Brock Stull. Nice counter move, but just wasn't able to knock down the layup there. You see Milwaukee missing on a couple of these layups early on, but nice job defensively, and here we got a transition.
Towns missed that bucket. On the block, Enzi. Dump it off to Prawl. This time, Brett up and good for 2.
And I think Coach Baldwin has really emphasized to his team that they need to work inside out, and you see that early on in this game. They haven't come out and shot any threes yet like they have in previous games. They're really emphasizing hitting the post and working off of that.
Brutwig, Barnes is there in the passing lane. Bryce the quick push, finds Bell, who finds Enzi, who finds Stull. Brett called for the steps. Keys to the game in this one. We already touched on the three-point shooting. That'll be critical both ways. How Milwaukee defends it and how Loyola shoots it this afternoon. But team defense.
Yeah, definitely team defense for the Panthers, and you see it here early on. They're doing a nice job defending some of those back cuts, defending the three-point shot, but look for Loyola to run a lot of ball screens, so important that Milwaukee's positioned well. Also, just get to the free throw line. They've struggled recently in games. You need to find other ways to score, and getting to the free throw line is one of them.
Yeah, especially if the threes aren't going, Milwaukee will need to find some ways to penetrate, draw some contact, get some easy looks at the stripe. Corner shot won't go for Lucas Williamson. He started the Ramblers' last game against Norfolk State. Enzi on the wing. Bryce, strong to the hoop.
You like that strong move that he made there. He felt the overplay towards the lane, and he went baseline side with his man and used that strength to go up and finish. Nice move there by Bryce.
8-4 now Milwaukee. Ingram gets the friendly roll on the road. So far, Loyola 0 for 3 from outside the arc, so that's good news for Milwaukee in the early going here in the first half. Panthers have shot it well. Stull launches the three and misses. Ingram leading the break. Drive, kick. Enzi is there. August Haas, who just checked in. Stull got bumped, no whistle.
And looking at that shot, I don't think Brock obviously realized that there was a man trailing behind, defender trailing him on that. They didn't have any of the advantage in that fast break, so it might have been better just to pull it out and see what you had and work them more.
Steps on Stopna. Milwaukee so far, Justin, shooting well, defending well.
Yeah, and you see this nice move here by Bryce Enzi going baseline side, getting some contact by going up and finishing strong, and the Panthers are out to a two-point lead early.
You can't argue. The numbers speak. They're not even at full strength, and yet they're able to rebound from the nicks and bruises. See some of the guys that they're playing without. Clayton Custer was a starter for them. He'll be out 3 to 4 weeks now with an ankle sprain that he suffered in that Florida matchup. But, yeah, Illinois basketball right now, Loyola can thump their chest a little bit.
Yeah, they're playing some great basketball right now. They're a very dangerous team. When you look at this ball club, this is a team that I truly feel you're going to be talking about come March. If they're one of those teams that haven't won their conference tournament, they're definitely going to be one of those teams that are on the bubble. Especially they've done a nice job, as far as building that resume early on in the season with that win against Florida, but they just haven't been at full strength yet with a number of those guys out, and that's what just makes this team so dangerous is the fact that once they do get the full strength, they're going to be a force to reckon with.
Porter Moser, what a job he has done in his 7th season. If he gets the W here on the road this afternoon, it'll be victory number 100 for him as the Ramblers head coach. Milwaukee trying to thwart that. 2-game losing skid for them on the road. Happy to finally be back home. Vance Johnson checks in for Milwaukee, and he fumbles it away out of bounds. Pat Baldwin, he's familiar with the guys on the other bench. He spent 7 years as an assistant coach at Loyola, then moved across town, Northwestern, to help run the Wildcats the last 4 seasons. Winning record so far here at Milwaukee at 6-5.
See Milwaukee go to a 2-3 zone here to really take away those inside looks, but just have to find those shooters when they get that ball back out on the perimeter.
6 on the shot clock. 3-ball launched, and it's good for Skopna. Bruno had a career-high 18 off the bench in their last game against Norfolk State.
And the scoring stats seem to resemble the overall success of Loyola. As far as when he puts up numbers, it typically results in a win for the Ramblers. But he's a very gritty player and provides a nice spark off the bench.
Ramblers up by a tally at the moment with 10 to shoot. Patient. Avery in and out. It was halfway down. Vance Johnson gobbles it up. Here's August Haas.
And you really see right now for the Panthers offensively, they're not rushing anything outside of that early shot that Brock Stull had prior to the break, but they're really taking their time on offense and trying to break down this defense. So nice job, by the Panthers, but let's see if we can get a shot here late in the shot clock now.
3 to shoot. Haas dumped down to Vance Johnson with only 1 tick to spare.
And that's what's nice about having the ball in August Haas's hands at the end of the shot clock. He does such a nice job picking apart the defense and then nice job distributing the basketball to Vance Johnson.
That'll be offensive. Jackson came storming through. And Milwaukee absorbing the charge.
And you see August Haas here just late in the shot clock. You just wonder how he got that ball through 2 defenders, but did a nice job with the reach around pass and great finish there. That was a great offensive possession, and that's something that Coach Baldwin really is going to stress to this team is more possessions like that where they can wear down the defense and force them to take a quick shot on offense.
Bell, quick shot on offense. Cash and shoot for the triple.
Let's keep him hot. He's been hot over the last couple of games, as we said in the open. He's 9 for 21, shooting over 42% these last 2 games from 3. So let's keep him hot, get him his looks.
Brutwig, dump down, reach and foul on Bell. And that'll take us to break. Yes, the hot hand of late belongs to number 1, Jeremiah Bell. Eating up early here in Milwaukee to put him up +4. In Milwaukee, the home team up 13-9 in the first half. Jeremiah Bell, he's been a spark plug for Pat Baldwin off the bench to start the season, but of late, because of injuries to Brock Stull, he would sort of into the starting lineup, and Jeremiah has produced, and again, rewarded today getting the start with the starting 5 because of his numbers of late.
Yeah, and you really see the last 2 games, the minutes per game, 15 more minutes per game, but when you have a guy that's playing as well as Jeremiah Bell these past 2 games, you want to keep him hot. You want to keep that confidence high because and that's what Coach Baldwin is doing by inserting him in that starting lineup, because then also it forces a guy like Jeremy Johnson, who's coming off the bench now to really step up his game too, and it creates that competition, a friendly competition amongst teammates. Gets them to work harder too. But Jeremiah Bell, it's nice to see him hit that three just a couple possessions ago, and I'd like to see him continue to find ways to score throughout this game.
Pat Baldwin says Jeremiah, one of the most athletic players we have, so they need that athleticism now. They need him from the get-go. You saw the numbers at Belmont, 20 points there. At Western Illinois, he tossed in 21, and at Jacksonville on the road, he had 14 off the bench.
And there's no doubt that he can score. He showed that last year in the Horizon League tournament. He scored 30 points against Detroit, and he's shown that he can score in a number of different ways, shooting the three, pulling up, or just getting to the basket.
Here's a Darius Avery shooting a pair. Sat out the first 8 games of the season with an injury.
Loyola number 10, Darius Avery.
Basketball legs about him, knocks down the freebies. Towns returns. Marcus, a transfer from Fairleigh Dickinson. He was a high school teammate of Carl Anthony Towns. No relation, different spellings.
A couple Loyola Ramblers that were teammates of NBA players that are currently in the NBA. Lucas Williamson, a teammate of Jaleel Okafor, who's now with the Nets.
Bell launches and then hits the deck. So the foul on Towns will send Jeremiah to the line, and he'll shoot 3. You talked about one of your keys, Justin. Get to the free throw line. Hey, this will work. Draw the contact outside the arc.
Yeah, it's kind of twofold, getting to the free throw line, but you also have to convert them. Nice to see him convert that first one, but yeah, definitely Milwaukee. You look at some of the free throw attempts that they've shot over the last couple of games, and they're just not getting to the free throw line. And when you're struggling shooting, you have to find other ways to put points on the board, and one of those ways is just attacking the basket and drawing fouls and getting to the line.
Stahl returns. Jeremiah, 73% shooter at the stripe. And knocks him down. Ramblers down 5. Skokna off to Satterwhite. In the paint, Towns draws a whole bunch of Panthers. 3-ball launched, and Ingram swish.
Yep, and that's where that ball got inside of the heart of that defense in the paint there, and all the Panthers were crowded around the ball, but they just got sucked in where it opened up the 3-point shot there.
Bell gallops through the paint, missed the shot, but a reload for Milwaukee. Stahl checks with Pat Baldwin, gets a fresh play. Prawl wanted the give and go, nothing there. Jeremy Johnson bumping and banging, then launching, rimmed it off.
And that's where, if you're Jeremy Johnson, it looked like he had a chance there to turn the corner and really attack that defense instead of just settling for the jump shot. He should have turned that corner and drew that extra defender, because then you're working 2-on-1 in the paint.
Prawl on the foul there. That's his first. Got tangled up as the Ramblers tried to set up shop offensively. Work around that Krutwig screen. Skokna. Johnson all over him. Ingram, deadly outside the arc. He shot 46% from three-point land a year ago, as a little backdoor cut for Loyola produces an easy 2.
Yeah, and you saw Krutwig, that's one of his talents, is being able to see the floor and pass the ball. He did a nice job finding Towns, cutting to the basket, and that's what you have to be careful of, is Marquise Towns just cutting to the basket. He does a lot of backdoors when that ball hits the high post or the low post area.
Rock, determined to score. Little back down, draws the foul. Good to see Stahl, the Panthers' leading scorer, coming in at 12-3 a contest, back on the floor. He's missed the last 2. They were at Jacksonville, and Brock dinged that right knee. MRI said everything's A-okay. So he missed the last 2 road games, but feeling good enough to rejoin the squad as Bryce Barnes returns to replace Haas.
It's tough to replace a guy like Brock Stoll on the court because he does a number of things so well. He can obviously score, but he does a nice job rebounding. He passes and he plays solid defense too. So it's tough to replace a guy like Brock Stoll because you're trying to pick up in so many different areas.
And number 3 is their leading 3-point shooter as well. Got the free throws there, puts Milwaukee back up by 2. Lucas Williamson checks in as well for Loyola. Krutwig, give and go to Ingram. Through the paint. Oh, tough angle, and somehow squeezes it in. 9 now for Ingram.
Yeah, and you saw the high ball screen right there, and that's something we talked with Coach Baldwin about before the game is how to defend that. Brett Prawl just got caught too low on that ball screen where Ingram was able to turn that corner and play one-on-one with a big one to the basket.
Jeremy Johnson, no. Stays with the play. Yes, on the second try. And then quick whistle. I think somebody got tangled up. Might have been Krutwig, got punched in the dental work. But here's Ingram with a little jackknife shot. Degree of difficulty, 10. So Krutwig A-okay. We play on. Milwaukee up 2. To Williamson on the wing. Krutwig. Prawl right there on the block. Back down starts. Kick outside. 3 on the way. Rimmed it off.
Early on right now, Loyola is struggling from 3. It's just something that they're not too familiar with. But nice job defensively for Milwaukee defending those 3-point shots and forcing guys to rush their shot and put it on the floor.
Yeah, you said it, 45% as a team shooting beyond the arc coming in this afternoon. Stahl from way downtown. That one from the Major Goolsby's parking lot.
And knowing what I know about Brock Stahl from last year, that's his shot. If you're going to back off from 5 feet off the line, he's getting late in the shot clock. He's going to pull that. He's got the green light to pull that.
Prawl on the interception in the paint. Quick push, Barnes. He goes up. He scores and a foul.
And that's what's great about that possession there is the fact that Milwaukee attacked the basket and then Barnes did a nice job finishing and drawing the foul.
Panthers on a 7-0 run. And Brock Stahl back from being dinged up. Back with a vengeance from way downtown. Milwaukee up by 7. Panthers up by 7. We talked about 3-point shooting and defending it this afternoon. Playing into the favor of the Panthers currently, Justin. You see the numbers coming into this one. Ramblers deadly from outside the arc. Milwaukee struggling and defending it. Milwaukee having a tough time. Ramblers very good at it. So, of course, the tide is turning perhaps here, at least in the first half for Milwaukee.
Well, you look at Loyola, they've got 8 players that shoot over 38% behind the arc. But you look at these games from Milwaukee, actually, they're 5 losses on the season. Their opponents are really shooting a high percentage, averaging just under 12 3-point makes per game. And that's really the difference in each of those games is the fact that they're just getting outshot and they're not shooting the ball well on their behalf.
But so far, Milwaukee turning things around. Ramblers struggling so far at just 2 makes on 6 tries, and the Panthers 2 for 5.
Yeah, and with Milwaukee, what you're seeing right now, they're not just throwing up shots from beyond the arc. They're getting high-quality shots. I know, obviously Brock had that one early on in transition that he probably wishes he didn't shoot, but they're getting some high-percentage looks from the 3. And the more they continue to attack the basket and work off the post, the more that those shots and those high-percentage 3-point shots are going to open up.
Yeah, Milwaukee 2 of 5, but the looks have been better, Justin, and that's what you're Pat Baldwin. You're just hoping to get better looks. And certainly he's got to be pleased with keeping the Ramblers in check so far in the first half from beyond the arc. Barnes misses the tack-on free throw, so the lead stays at +7, maybe +9. Oh, but Bryce couldn't catch up to it. Had the pick, and then the ball just had eyes of its own.
Yeah, you got to like the effort there by Bryce. But, yeah, just got a little bit too happy there and just didn't keep his eye on the basketball and ended up going off his knee out of bounds.
So a break for Loyola, and then they return the favor. Lost at OB, 7th turnover now on Loyola.
And very uncharacteristic turnover by the Panthers in that previous possession. They come in averaging just over 12 turnovers a game, and they do a nice job protecting the basketball.
Johnson, corner, triple, knocking it down. Stull finds him, and Jeremy buries it. You talked about Jeremy coming off the bench now, and so far he's responding with some good looks.
He is, and it's nice to see him get into the flow of the game here, coming off the bench. Obviously it's a little different when you're starting versus coming off the bench, but he's showing a nice adjustment here, being able to provide a little spark.
5 now for Jeremy. Triple to answer. Won't go for Loyola. Enzi on the clear. Barnes stops on a dime, launches, rimmed it off.
And that's not a bad shot. The defender sagged off, and he stepped back and shot the open three. That was a good shot there by Bryce.
Satterwhite goes in, and last touched by the Ramblers. It'll be Milwaukee basketball.
And a great job there by Brock Stull. There was penetration, and instead of hugging up next to his man, he sunk to the level of the basketball and was able to deflect that ball off of Krutwig going out of bounds.
Williamson and Skolkner return for Loyola. This team, their only loss coming in. As you see the turnovers there, Loyola just turns it over an average of 12 times a contest, already 8 here in the first half with 6 and change to go. Bell from the corner. Here comes Loyola and Williamson.
I'd really like to see Milwaukee, they came up short these last couple possessions. Barnes with a missed 3 and Bell with a missed 3, but I'd like to see Milwaukee really focus in now, and getting back to the basics would help them early on to get this lead, is hit the ball in the post and attack the basket now that they've missed 2 shots in a row.
Been over 3 minutes since Loyola has scored a bucket as Bell gets called for the foul there. So Milwaukee extending its lead to +10 as the Ramblers have hit a drought.
And we talked about in the open, teams getting out to a fast start. Loyola is 8-0 on the season when they lead or are tied at halftime, and the Panthers are 5-0. So it's nice to see for Milwaukee to build this lead with, just over 6 minutes to go, to build a double-digit lead. But it's important for them that they continue to build on this lead and increase that lead throughout the course of this first half.
Avery, 67% at the line, misses the first. Splits them. 9-point lead for the Panthers. Barnes, Enzi, Stull, Prawl, and Jeremy Johnson in for Pat Baldwin's squad. Barnes tried a little give and go off the screen from Enzi, and the Ramblers busted up, and Jackson converts on the other end.
And that's where Loyola's dangerous. Is the last thing Milwaukee wants is the pace of this game to pick up. Loyola does a nice job working getting baskets in transition, as you saw there with Jackson, but Milwaukee's got to really come back here and work them defensively on this possession.
First points of the day for Jackson. Remember, he had 23 in that victory in Gainesville over the Gators. Stull for 3, finds a home. Hoop gobbles it up, and Stull remains hot from outside the arc. Milwaukee remains hot. 4 of 9 now three-point shooting. Ups the lead to +10 once again. Williamson to Jackson, drawing all kinds of attention.
Nice job there recovering by Milwaukee and helping out on defense, doubling the post.
Williamson nowhere to go, finds Jackson in the lane, rushed his shot, and Ramblers will get a reset.
Jackson's have found it difficult to get some easy looks this game. Obviously, he had that layup in transition, but he's getting some some looks outside the lane, but he's more comfortable once he gets inside the lane and gets closer to the basket.
Skopna drives in, little fade away from the baseline. Milwaukee by 8. Paul Enzi.
This is where the Panthers found success is early on, is hitting the post, hitting Enzi, and letting him work out the post.
Bryce Barnes, pull-up pop. Up and over. Here comes Loyola. Skopna. Avery doesn't get the roll. And Barnes will walk it up. Little breather here from Milwaukee.
Yeah, you see these guys on, Enzi, Barnes, they're winded out there. They're working hard defensively on these Ramblers. And now's the time, if you're going to rest, you're going to rest a little bit on offense.
Passing lane deflection by Williamson. Gets it back. Drives and banks it off the window. Finished what he started, Justin.
He is, and he's very athletic, and he did a nice job getting that shot off. You see here about Panther timeout by Coach Baldwin.
So Lucas Williamson got the steal, got rewarded on the other end. Little Euro step action up and over Bryce Enzi. Loyola cuts the Panther lead down to 6. This is the first half of this rematch, if you will, of former Horizon League teams. Missouri Valley now, the residents of Loyola. 3-point shooting, so far so good for Pat Baldwin and the Panthers. Brock Stoll with a hot hand. And this is good to see if you're Pat Baldwin, but he's also got to be thrilled with the way they have defended the three because, well, this has been a point of emphasis even in practice this past week.
Yeah, they've struggled defending the three over the last couple of games, but for Milwaukee offensively, they've kind of been up and down. You see their stats here, the first 5 games versus the last 6 games, averaging 70 points versus 63. But I think what really it all comes down to, you can take all the stats, it comes down to basic fundamentals. How we can get ourselves higher percentage shots and create scoring opportunities for these guys. So Milwaukee, talking to Coach Baldwin, it's more so just getting back to some of those fundamentals in practice, and working on some passing drills and different ways to defend a three, and looking to see where some of those shots are occurring when you're defending the three. Are they coming off penetration? Are they coming in transition? Are they coming because we just simply are double teaming the post or losing our guys? So it's just getting back to some of those basics and just breaking it down and making it a little simpler for the guys to understand.
Yeah, Pat said they teed up the last handful of games when they didn't defend the three very well and just queued all those clips up to see where guys were and where they were supposed to be and where they need to be to defend the three. Out of the media timeout, Bryce Enzi, little baby hook bucket in the paint.
And I like that. Go right back into the post where you've had success this game and really pound it in there, make them defend the big fella.
Bulge the lead back to 8. Enzi almost got the steal there. Jackson goes in and blocking foul called on Prawl.
The problem there that, obviously Brett did a nice job trying to take the charge, but what he needs to do in that situation, any young kid, is get that foot out of bounds. If your foot's out of bounds, you're going to be stationary, and that way you can beat that defender, that offensive player there, and have that position before he gets into the lane. But get that foot out of bounds just to cut off that driving lane.
Second foul now on Prawl. Ingram lost the handle. Boy, this has been uncharacteristic for the Ramblers. They've had butterfingers in the first half.
They have 9 turnovers right now for the Ramblers, and really important that Milwaukee takes advantage of those turnovers and gets some points off of those turnovers.
Again, the only loss for the Ramblers came at Boise State to close out the month of November. Johnson, not sure what that was from Jeremy.
And that's one of those shots where, I know Coach Baldwin is telling, hey, we can get a better shot than that. That's just, you're a couple feet behind the line, and those are the shots that'll get you in trouble.
Jeremy, he had a big smile on his face. I think he might have lost the handle on the way up. That's why it looked so awkward.
And you look right now with when Crudwig has that ball in the post, the first thing he's doing is seeing and reading that defense. Reminds me a lot like a guy that I played with at Milwaukee, Adrian Tigrid. Did a nice job positioning himself in the post, but also when he get that ball down low, he did such a nice job of seeing where those defenders are and where his teammates are.
Williamson and Jackson teamed up to get the steal, but they get nothing on the other end. Milwaukee swipes it back. Here's Stull looking for a flash. Vance Johnson. Haas will reset. 12 to shoot. Stull. Count it, and a foul.
I tell you, that's the guy that you want with the ball in his hands late in that shot clock. He's got the green light to do whatever he needs to do to get that shot off, and right there, just pulled from the top of the key. He's feeling it. He's getting back in rhythm, and you see right there, was able to draw the contact and get to the free throw line.
11 now for Brock. Williamson on the foul. Porter Moser said he kicked the leg into Williamson. Timeout, Porter Moser and Loyola. Milwaukee gets the 4-point play from Stull. He's got a dozen. Welcome back, Brock Stull. Milwaukee's lead is a dozen now.
Yeah, great there for Brock. We've missed him the last 2 games, and just reading the defense and really breaking them down. And I didn't see anything there that would look like he tried kicking his leg out. It almost looked like the defender just got lost and tried getting a hand up and got in the way.
Wrong place, wrong time. But Brock Stull cashes in.
You look at that huddle right now too. There's a lot of energy in that huddle with guys, and knowing what they're going to be doing coming out of the huddle, and it's good to see that these guys working together there on the court, having fun.
Their last win was at Jacksonville on the road on December 5th. But without Stull and 2 road games, you can see what he provides, giving everybody a lift here. All right, $1:15 to go before halftime.
Look for Loyola to come out with some sort of set play, trying to get some high percentage bucket inside. Milwaukee coming out in a 2-3 zone.
Crutwig. Boy, did everything right except get the bucket.
And he does a nice job. He's left-handed. He usually finishes at a high percentage with that left hand. Just put a little bit extra on there.
Stull bringing that defense out now. They've seen enough from him outside the arc. Haas, bounce feed, Johnson, and Vance kisses it off the glass.
And that's just a little 2-man action there. That's great. Haas and Johnson working together and getting that basket inside. But this is going to be this is a big possession going into the half for the Panthers defensively.
8-0 run by Milwaukee. Their lead balloons to +14. Loyola will work for 1.
More of a 3-2 zone right now that the Panthers are shifting to.
Cameron Satterwhite to Ingram. Steele. Enzi. Haas. Stull for 3. Why not? That's how you close out the half. And Brock Stull, white hot from outside on this matinee in Milwaukee. An 11-0 run by the Panthers puts them up 42-25 at the half on the 10-1 Ramblers. Just like we thought, right, Justin?
Exactly how it was supposed to play out.
And after the steal, they play beat the clock, and Haas finds Stull. Even had time left on the clock, time to spare. Everything going right for Pat Baldwin and company in the first half. The coach joins us now. And Pat, you can see why all the guys missed Brock Stull, correct?
Absolutely. Just what we talked about at the beginning is, he's a guy that adds another dimension. But the dimension that he has, an ability to score and help us out on the offensive end.
And Coach, you got to be happy with the guys, the type of shots that they're creating, and how, as far as creating shots for their teammates, working inside, hitting the post, working inside out. You got to be happy with how the guys have responded.
I mean, that's the way we started out our year, trying to go inside and establish Brett and Enzi. Enzi's doing a great job, and we got to continue to attack inside. And then when we have our opportunities out there on the perimeter, we got to take advantage of them.
Pat, thank you. Go to the locker room. Keep them hot.
Okay, thank you very much.
42-25, Milwaukee. Good to have some home cooking once again. Points inside, points outside, playing some good D and white hot from outside the arc. All our halftime stuff is coming your way next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Welcome back in. College Basketball Live, sitting here with a few ACC coaches. There's one first-time head coach in this group, David Padgett. When some assistants, most assistants get a head coaching job, it happens in April. You got yours in October. How would you assess the challenges of getting your team ready for the season in the preseason?
I don't know if we have enough time to talk about the challenges we face, but, the good news about the team I inherited, we have a very good mix of older players who've played college basketball, seniors, juniors, even a sophomore in VJ King, and we have a very talented freshman class. Obviously, they're freshmen. There's a lot they need to learn and go through, and there's no easy way to get freshman experience except to let them go through it. But our older guys have been tremendous in trying to help the younger guys and get ready for the season. So just each practice, we're just trying to get better than we were the day before.
You had a little more lead time when you stepped over from an assistant to replacing John Calipari there at Memphis. What advice would you give him stepping in, although the time frame is a little bit different?
No, David's going to do a great job, and he's a basketball guy, and his dad was a really good coach as well too, and so he's going to do great. And they're good. Their team's really good, and following with Coach Pitino, and when I took over at Memphis following Coach Calipari, it's just they're hard to do because the success that you're following in both guys. So you just do the best you can.
It was a primary head coaching job there at Memphis. You're just getting started. Mike, reflect on what it was. You're at the pinnacle now, the coaching in the ACC. Reflect to your first head coaching job when you slid into that chair and had that ownership. Maybe an overwhelming feeling. What was that like?
I think it was. I remember my first year at the University of Delaware in 1995. I wasn't very trusting of delegating. I tried to do everything and a little too much. I've learned to delegate more. But I think the biggest thing is you try to be yourself. You've worked for a guy. You've been with a head coach. I think to develop your own identity and be yourself, as soon as you can get confident doing that's going to be helpful.
Jim? What was that like?
My first head coaching job was at a Division II school called American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. And recruiting there was very, very difficult. But we spotted a young man I thought could really turn our program around. His name is Rick Carlisle. And we tried to recruit Rick Carlisle to a Division II school. 2 years later, I was the assistant at Virginia, and Rick called me. He was playing at the University of Maine, and he transferred to Virginia, helped us get to the Final Four, now has been in the NBA since 1984. So when you're looking at players and trying to build a program, you got to find good players. Rick was a good player. We just couldn't get him to AIC.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. You might be someplace soon that you can actually get him. Buzz, your first head coaching job, what was that like?
I remember it vividly. Very honored, grateful, bigger than any dream I'd ever had. Was very thankful that the University of New Orleans would hire me, and have felt that way every day over the last 11 years.
Brad?
Yeah, I was very blessed. I took over at UNC Wilmington, having been an assistant there for 8 years under a very good coach in Jerry Wainwright. So the program was in a great situation. We had good players coming back, a good foundation. We'd been to the tournament. And so really the ease of transition for me was much easier than most, in that I already knew the league, I knew the university, and Coach Wainwright had given me a ton of responsibility. So that really gave me a lot of confidence.
You mentioned getting to the NCAA tournament, and when you're at maybe a lower level or a mid-major school, it's getting to the tournament's a great accomplishment. When you're in the ACC, it's not just getting to the tournament, it's making a run. You could have a great year, maybe even win a championship in the league, but you don't get to the second weekend, and it's almost forgettable in some fans' eyes. How do you guys self-assess when it comes to success relative to the NCAA tournament, whether it's getting there or advancing deep?
Well, for me, I mean, I've tried to be better just about your own personal success and what you define it as. I think my time at Memphis, I was really unhealthy mentally, and just because I lived and died by every single game, and so when I came to Georgia Tech, I tried to have a better perspective on things, and it's a work in progress. It's hard to get to the tournament. I mean, I thought we had a good year last year, and we finished 11th place in this league. And I mean, and we had 8 wins in the league. I don't know if we'll ever get 8 wins again in this league. I mean, it's hard to do. And so, if you just do the best you can, I've tried to be better about that and focusing on just doing the best you can and let the chips fall where they fall.
Now, as a player, obviously, you want to get as deep as you can. What about as a coach? He said when he started out, he didn't have a healthy perspective. You're just starting out. What's your perspective?
Well, I think at Louisville, it's just been long established that getting to the tournament per se isn't enough. I think making a deep run has come to be expected over the last 15, 16 years, and obviously we've had a lot of success. Now, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself or on my team to say, hey, we have to get to the Elite Eight or we have to get to the Final Four, because that's just not realistic. Everything we've been going through, me as a first-time head coach, that wouldn't be fair to anybody. So we're just trying to have as good of a season as we can have, win as many games as we can have, kind of just break up into 3 segments. You got non-conference, you've got conference, and then postseason. So just take it one segment at a time.
How does that change as you get deeper into your career? Because when we refer to you guys, how many Final Fours does he have? How many national championships?
Well, that dynamic happened a little bit this year for us. The 2 previous years we've been to the Elite Eight. We get knocked out in the second round by a very good West Virginia team, but we finished in the top 4 of the regular season and got to the championship game of the ACC tournament. And so I was trying to tell our guys that, we had a pretty good run, and even it was even harder trying to explain that to my fans, but maybe they finally got it at the end of the day.
What about you made a deep run with George Mason, now here you are at Miami.
Yeah, 20 years ago, I had an incredible opportunity to talk to the great John Wooden, who won 10 national championships. And he talked about one thing that you had to have to be successful as a coach. And he said you have to have balance. You have to have the understanding of what your expectations are, maybe very different than what anybody else is. And you just have to have that balance in your life, balance with your team, so that you're enjoying the journey. Not so much talking about, did you make the Final Four? So, and that's the way we've tried to approach it. We just want to be the best we can be every season we're competing.
Last thing, Buzz, it's validation though, right? I mean, NCAA tournament, that's a thing you can sink your teeth into.
I think it just depends on what validation and who you're wanting the validation from. Not trying to be holier than thou. I like playing in the NCAA tournament because that means I have an extended period of time with our players each day. And so whether we win, whether we get there, I think that's for other people to judge. I think my responsibility as a leader is to help them grow to be the best people they can be, and if that means we play a couple extra games, maybe that time period helps them even more.
And Brad, you've had a taste of it there at Clemson.
Yeah, we haven't been in a while, and certainly something that we want to get back to. We talk a lot about, playing in March with a chance to advance. That's kind of a phrase we use to kind of keep our momentum going, and I think it's something that you put the NCAA tournament out there. It's not as easy at some programs. It's more of a challenge, and certainly you analyze each team and just try to get better working on that with that thought in mind for us.
Yeah. Good perspective, guys. We'll wrap it up when we return. These guys have left quite a mark on their teams. What about the digital footprint, social media? Get into that for a few minutes, guys.
All right, let's start with your health.
Yeah.
You're 70, and a lot of people want to ask how much longer do you want to go?
Do you want to ask that?
Yeah, I'm going to ask that. I'm going to ask you, how much longer do you want to go?
Yeah, I didn't get my knee replaced to retire. Let's put it that way. So I'm 70 years old. I think I'm definitely younger at heart. I have the knowledge, though, of a 70-year-old who's coached for 42 years and has coached 11 years with the U.S. team. And I think that's a good combination, especially at a great school. I want to make a difference. I'm enthusiastic. Come on, Kyle, I got you.
Grayson Allen, when describing you, called you a friend.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for a 21-year-old to call a 70-year-old a friend. Right. How do you think you've been able to connect with players these days and change and be able to adapt?
Well, I think it's up to the teacher to adapt so that his or her teachings are accepted easier by their pupils. I've had to adapt a lot. Not values, work ethic, and all that, but how you communicate, how you dress, what jokes you tell, do you stay current?
Grayson Allen is a really good basketball player. He also appears to be a dirty basketball player.
Well, his reputation for this precedes him.
What gives you confidence that Grayson, if you have confidence, that Grayson has kind of gotten past the issues, the tripping issues?
Well, you know, look, there's no, is it more tripping issues or what everyone made of a couple issues? I want Grayson to be Grayson. Grayson's, I think, as good a player as there is in the country, and I want him to be a leader, and I want him to not have a rear-view mirror.
How much did you worry about him last year, though, because of all the public outcry and the attention that he got? How much were you worried that he'd be able to handle it all?
You would have thought that there was a capital offense that had occurred. That's the attention, I think, that our program brings, the scrutiny, and you know, you have to learn to live under that microscope. But he has had an opportunity to be in incredible situations where you don't play at the beginning of your freshman year. You are the hero of the national championship game. You're an All-American as a sophomore and you have an incident, and then that's unbelievably publicized. And then you have another situation, and then you're hurt the whole year. Holy mackerel. He's lived a lifetime in those 3 years, and I think it'll all end up, you know, really, really good.
How good can this team be? I mean, you have talent, you've got bigs. They're very different than a lot of your previous teams.
Yeah, you know, our team is going to be very much a developing team. We have 3 guys in Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter, and Marquise Bolden who are going to be pro players, maybe all 3 of them at the end of this year. We don't have the perimeter depth that we, you know, like the last few years, but we have more big guys. And so we have to adjust what we do, and which we do every year.
Has your outlook of recruiting one that's changed? People think it has.
No. You know, everyone talks about us changing our recruiting philosophy. That's not the case. You know, it's just that Grant Hill was in the mid-'90s or early '90s. If Grant Hill was today, he'd go too. But we would have still recruited Grant Hill. You know, Leitner and Battier, and that's when it started for us with Elton Brand, but he was even here 2 years. I have not changed. The landscape has changed to where it would be the best decision for them to go, and then I'm okay with that.
Nick Young, you know, the Cavs-Warriors finals rematch is a gift to the world. I would like to return the favor, so tell Santa a few things you'd like for Christmas.
I want a win.
Okay,
Triple-double would be great. At least 48 points. A clean block on LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like for you to take me to space.
Oh, sounds fun. All right, well, we got you this gift card.
The Heisman playmaker versus the SEC's top dog. The defending champs versus the avenging Tide. Oklahoma, Georgia at 5 and Clemson, Alabama at 8:45. New Year's Day on ESPN.
Football, Falcons, Buccaneers, Monday, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN.
Joey, what are you doing? It's my Capital One Bowl Mania celebration, baby. Every touchdown, I do this. When we come around. You're going to be doing this throughout Capital One Bowl Mania? Copy that. That wasn't a request, Joey. Woo! All 29 games. Just stop.
Joey. We lost him.
Watch Capital One Bowl Mania now through January 2nd.
You can't lose me.
Definitely something that'll last a lifetime.
Absolutely. Panther fans will never forget that moment as well. They have the basketball to start the second half. Brett Prawl gets them on the board to start the second half. Little up and under, we've seen that all season long. Brett's so successful.
Yeah, and much like the Panthers started the first half pounding the ball inside to Enzi, the second half they started out on the other side of the floor pounding inside to Brett Prawl, who's really converting at a high percentage inside.
And if you're Pat Baldwin, you'd love to see that energy carry right over just seconds in to start the second half.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want early on in the second half is for Loyola to come out and really trim away at that lead. So it's really important offensively the Panthers get good looks, but defensively they take away good looks. But there you see where Cameron Krutwig, what he does nice is find that open man on the perimeter, and he draws so much attention in the post.
Open man was Towns, who drains the three. Loyola won't look at those first half numbers and stop shooting from outside the arc. They nailed their first one here in the second half. Enzi goes to work. Little runner.
That's a really nice, that's a big time move right there by Enzi, really squaring up his defender and then taking him off the dribble and just finishing with the little baby runner.
6 now for the former standout at Heartland Arrowhead. Baseline Towns. Cross-court corner. That triple doesn't go.
Milwaukee was fortunate there. Loyola penetrated baseline, found the hammer in the corner after they drew the help, and they had an open look, just weren't able to convert on it. But nice job there. Milwaukee getting the rebound and coming back on offense now.
Enzi handoff to Barnes. Bell in front of his own bench. Bryce, turn, fade away. Didn't feel right on the release.
It didn't. I think what happened was that he caught a little bump from Jackson and it just kind of threw him a little off balance.
Runner by Towns won't go.
Loyola just really not able to push the tempo in this game. As much as they keep trying, Milwaukee being very patient on offense.
Bell on the curl, lost it. Turnover Milwaukee. Ingram directing traffic. Jackson passed up the shot. Williamson careens in, and a blocking foul called on Prawl. That's his third.
Yeah, nice job flying at the shooters for Milwaukee, forcing them to put the ball on the floor. But in that situation there, Brett Prawl had more than enough time to really line up that offensive player in Williamson and try and draw that charge. So I think he needs to go to Justin Lettenberger's School of Acting to learn how to take that charge, and because he really didn't have a chance to he had a chance to line him up. He just didn't do a nice job of it.
They have drama classes at Milwaukee? You took those? For credit?
Oh, yeah. Rules in college basketball have changed since my years here drawing charges. They put a little arc inside the lane because that's where, I call it the Justin Lettenberger arc, because that's where a lot of my charges took place, and these guys were going up for easy layups, and not so much the case now. You're not going to get that called.
Well, you got the backstory on the birthdays and on the backstory on how that arc.
It's all well thought out.
Yeah.
It's all.
Well, good on you. Milwaukee, their lead still at 17. Jeremy Johnson to Bell on the curl. Jeremiah caught in the paint. Jeremy thought about pulling the trigger. Enzi on the block. Bryce. Kick to Johnson. Rimmed off three. Enzi got a piece of it. Outlet to Jackson. And lost his bearings underneath the hoop.
Important now, Milwaukee. Just pull it out, regather yourself. You had a decent look at a three the last possession. Let's look at, working inside out again, maybe looking at getting a set play here.
Boy, even when Loyola got a break, they get an empty trip. Barnes on the drive, foul on Williamson. Bryce to the line.
I like that call there by Bryce Barnes. Pulling it out, getting a play call, and then attacking the basket and drawing the contact.
So the sophomore from Chicago will shoot a pair. Bryce, starting of late for Milwaukee. season started with August Haas running the show. And now August coming off the bench with Bryce getting the starting nod.
Well, if you recall, Bryce did start the first couple of games, went down with an injury, and then actually August came back in, and actually a role that August was familiar with last season, starting a number of games last season for the Panthers. But, Bryce just doing a nice job regaining that starting position. And you see tonight, August providing a nice spark off the bench with his ability to distribute the basketball.
Yeah, both guys have really bought into their roles once Barnes got healthy. 5 now for Bryce. Lead still comfortable for Milwaukee at 18. Jackson triple. Not having it today.
Yeah, it doesn't look right now like a shooter that's shooting above 68% on the season. Really struggling to find those shots and hit those shots.
Bryce that time barely draws iron on the triple try. Satterwhite down the lane, and he draws the foul. He'll go to the line.
If for Milwaukee, you're asking for the charge too much right now. You really got to line those guys up. And he did take the charge.
He did take the charge.
Corrected, but it looked like he was going to call the block at first. So he changed the ruling there. He may have thought he was inside that little arc, but I stand corrected.
Yeah, much to the chagrin of everybody in the building for that matter. One official said foul to send Satterwhite to the line, and then overruled. And as you might imagine, Porter Moser not thrilled with the reversal. Stull too hard off the glass, and loose change foul will go against Enzi, and we'll take a break here in Milwaukee. Panthers up 18 on the Ramblers from Chicago. From Loyola, maybe just being at home, Justin, has made a difference. They've been on the road a lot to close out November and then to kickstart December. This is the first of 4 in a row at home for Milwaukee. This is where you want to make some hay, because once we flip the calendar, they're going to be on the road for a 5-game stretch. So get comfortable, get around some familiar surroundings, and also travel, that takes a toll. It makes a difference.
It does. It takes a lot out of you, especially, when you're moving, from hotel to hotel, and you're not sleeping in your own bed. You're not, in your routine that you are when you're playing at home, waking up, going to class, going to practice, coming back, and hitting the books. So it's nice for Milwaukee to have a little stretch here at home, where you see today they're playing Loyola, but then they're back at home against Western Michigan, and then kick off the Horizon League slate of games. So this game here today is a great statement game leading into, not only next week's game against Western Michigan, but also some of those early Horizon League games, because you got a team like Oakland and Detroit, they're picked in the upper echelon of the Horizon League.
And that's who they'll kickstart their Horizon League season with here at home. And again, Loyola, former residents of the Horizon League. This is a good test for Milwaukee. These are teams similar to Loyola that they will see on the conference slate, which begins after Christmas.
Well, as athletic as this team is in Loyola, it's going to prepare you for a team who's very athletic as well in Oakland. And that's why you schedule some of these non-conference games to resemble some of the teams that are in your conference, so they give you a good look.
Kicked OB by Milwaukee. It'll stay with the Ramblers. Now, Loyola, they open conference play, Valley play, next Friday at Missouri State. Follow that up with a home game against Evanston, or rather Evansville, on the 30th. Towns goes in. He gets fouled by Enzi. Valparaiso, who also used to reside in the Horizon League with Milwaukee, they have now jumped over to the Valley to join Loyola. Bradley, Northern Iowa, Missouri State, Southern Illinois, Drake, Indiana State, Illinois State. The Valley's a good barometer for teams in the Horizon League to see what's coming up. A little preview, if you will.
It is, and back when I was at Milwaukee, and even in recent years, you always look at the Horizon League, and then you try and compare yourself some of the teams that are in the Missouri Valley. Obviously, the Missouri Valley has done a nice job over the course of years bringing teams in, and you had Wichita State part of the Missouri Valley Conference for a number of years, and it's definitely a good way for a mid-major to gauge themselves on how well they're playing in their non-conference slate.
The preseason poll says Missouri State will win the Valley this year. Loyola picked third. Northern Iowa in the number 2 slot. That's in the preseason poll. Reach and foul there will be whistled against Ingram. That's his second. And again, just outside the major polls, Ramblers getting some votes and some looks. In the latest mid-major poll, they're ranked 3rd in the country. Bell off the rim, and a little cold now from outside the arc is Milwaukee. And a hot first half. Krutwig, little turn, short-armed it.
Nice post defense there by NZ, just straight up and not letting Krutwig to gain position and back him down underneath the hoop. But getting back to Krutwig, he does such a nice job in the post, seeing, reading the defense, and he has such a soft touch, for being just a freshman. He's going to continue to develop.
There you go. Little give and go. Haas to Enzi. 8 for Bryce.
And talking about, freshmen playing earlier in their careers, Bryce Enzi, a prime example last season for the Panthers, forced to play a number of minutes, and you really see him take that step into his sophomore season where he's really developed, put on a lot more strength and some extra weight, and I think he has some better basketball ahead of him for years to come.
Got that big wingspan as well. It's God-given, and he is maturing before our eyes. Loyola, they stay ice cold. They've now missed their last 6 field goal attempts, and they're getting some good looks. Just nothing falling for the Ramblers this afternoon.
I think a lot of that has to do with the flow of this basketball game. The Panthers have been very patient on offense, getting some good looks, waiting for a high percentage shot or getting an open look, and they're not letting Loyola control the tempo of this game right now.
Williamson, good closeout by Haas, so he attacks the basket and scores. It's a good read there by Lucas Williamson. Saw Haas charge him, and then he just charged right back.
Yeah, and being able to finish with his offhand as well as drawing some contact in the lane.
5 now for Lucas. Getting the start with Clayton Custer out of action for the Ramblers. Enzi somehow found Johnson in the corner. 5 to shoot. Stalled Will. Oh, I hate when that happens.
You knew that when that shot clock was winding down, he was gonna pull, and the previous ones went in. This one, unfortunately, just got stuck on the rim.
Alternating possession gives the ball to Loyola. Vance Johnson in for Jeremy Johnson for Milwaukee.
And one guy we actually talked about early on after he hit that 3 early in this game was Jeremiah Bell. He's been sort of quiet here late in the first half into the second half. It'd be nice to see, maybe him get some looks off penetration and get his shot going.
6 so far for Jeremiah. Guarding Williamson there. In the corner. And out of the corner. Jackson goes to work. And double dribble. Or wait a minute. Hold the phone.
They're going to say he's looking to be corrected here. He's going to say it's tipped. First he thought he just lost the basketball. Looks like Enzi got a piece of that on the way up.
Yeah, indeed he did. Yeah, the side official said shot went up. He caught it, which would have been a double dribble. But Enzi clearly with contact on the leather.
Watch for a duck in here with Ingram on stall. Jackson looking to get the ball.
To Ingram. To Jackson. And a bailout foul there. Enzi with a little bump will send Jackson to the line. 3rd now on Bryce for Milwaukee. And Andre Jackson, who has been oh so quiet this afternoon, will try to get some points at the stripe.
Fortunately for Milwaukee, he wasn't able to finish, but it just, with Enzi, you got to cut off that penetration there by Jackson. You gave him too much of a lane in attacking the hoop.
Talk about this young man. He was the 6th man of the year in the Valley a year ago. And the scouting report, he's a good one.
He is, and he likes to finish over the left shoulder on the block, but really has a number of moves, likes that up and under move. But, you got to find him in transition like Milwaukee has. He's only had one transition basket here today, so, not just a one-dimensional player, can score in a number of ways. And, fortunately for Milwaukee, we're catching him on an off day so far as shooting the basketball.
Towns returns for the Ramblers. Milwaukee's lead still in check, still in double figures at 15.
And you saw a little bit of some light pressure there by Loyola. Look for them to start picking up the pace here by pressing Milwaukee, bringing up the basketball.
10 to shoot. Haas to Bell. Screen from Vance Johnson. Bell launches the 3 and hits.
It's good to see him get that shot. We talked about it just before. He does such a nice job in creating his own shot off the dribble, but he can really elevate. And in that case, late in the shot clock, was able to find it and knock it down.
9 for the native of Louisville, Kentucky. Milwaukee back up by 18. Look at the defense underneath by the Panthers. Causes the turnover. Haas on the push. August to Stull. Turnaround. In and out.
Yeah, tough one there by, I think August just waited a little bit too long to get that ball to Stull. Let the defense get back.
Ingram misses the wide open 3. Shots not falling tonight outside the arc for the Ramblers.
You see that Rambler defense right now. They're winded. I'm looking at Jackson. He's winded right now. So if I'm Milwaukee, I'm making him work.
Haas bounce feed to Stull. Brock square up. Back down. Twisting, turning, up and under.
Nice patience there by Brock Stull. Really reading the defense and then coming back with that up and under.
Timeout on the floor. Stull with 17. Jeremiah Bell ringing the bell from outside the arc once again. Justin?
Yeah, Jeremiah Bell just doing a nice job creating his own shot. And you see it here with the high ball screen. He decides not to use it, but does a nice job breaking down the defender and then elevating over him.
Justin, if the Panthers could stay hot from half number 1 to half number 2. So far, 5 of 13 shooting. We were also wondering, would Loyola get hot? Ain't happening yet. 2 of 10 in the second half.
Yeah, Milwaukee just kind of going back to the basics that got them the lead here in that first half. And, they're doing a nice job working off the post. And then late in those shot clock situations, you see the Panthers going off high ball screens and knocking down some of these triples. This is something that we talked about in the open. Milwaukee has struggled these last couple of games shooting the ball from 3. Obviously, the tails reversed itself here today so far, and they're hitting those at a high percentage, but they're also doing a nice job defending the 3-point shots and also from the 2-point field goals as well.
And just before that last time out, Brock Stull, 15 in the first half, first deuce here in the second half. Season high for Brock is 21. He's on his way to eclipsing that. Career high is 30. He might get there if he continues to produce here in the second half. But Brock Stull, not just a marksman from outside, working down and determined to get that bucket there.
Yeah, Brock's just a very unselfish basketball player. And if you were to say, the Panthers were to win and he didn't score any points, he'd be happy with that. He always puts the team before those individual stats, but he's doing a great job here today for the Panthers.
And helping lift Milwaukee. They missed him the last 2 games out. Lead now is 20 for Milwaukee. Ball swing to Ingram.
Coming out, changing defenses again.
Dumped on Krutwig, lost the handle. Stays with it, goes up and scores.
Yeah, and Prahl's got to be careful there. He's caught those 3 fouls, doesn't want to pick up that 4th foul. So good job there by Brett Prahl, staying down and not drawing any contact.
Stahl to Prahl. Back in Brock's hands, back to Brett. He goes to work on the block. Overlay. Quick push here by Ingram. Stutter step. Kick out. Williamson 3. No. Look at Prahl. Swiped it away.
Nice effort there by Brett. Maintaining control of that basketball and finding a way to get it up to his teammate.
Just wanted it more. Here's Haas. To Bell, wide open. Rattled out. Towns, free throw line, bouncer back to Ingram. Floater in the lane is good.
Yeah, and that's what Ingram does best, is he does a nice job breaking down the defender and finding ways to get inside the paint and create shots.
11 now for the senior. Stahl being bothered by Williamson. Prahl will hand it off to Haas.
It's important for Milwaukee not to get too conservative here on offense.
Brett Prahl for 3. Yes! Why not?
Now, that's a guy that has a lot of confidence right now. He's been able to show in the past his ability. He's got 1 made 3 in the year. So it's not like he hasn't attempted any, but for him, a guy that's shooting over 60% from the field, for him to have that much confidence and knock that down. Actually, I believe it was the Montana State game where he knocked down the 3 for Milwaukee as well. So good for him.
He's 50% from outside the arc. Williamson answers with a triple on the Loyola end. He's got 8. Haas being hounded.
This is a key point in the game right now. You're under 8 minutes. You still got a 16-point lead, but obviously Loyola, these last couple possessions, has done a nice job scoring some buckets.
Bell catch and shoot, no good.
And we don't want to get too trigger happy right now, shooting 3.
Towns down the lane, glides in, bucket in 1, and perhaps Loyola showing some life here, but Milwaukee still showing some life from outside the arc today.
Nice job there by August Haas, drawing the double team, and then for Brett Prahl to step out and do the pick and pop 3 and knock it down.
Brock's got a fresh haircut, a little more aerodynamics there to get him back on the court, feeling good about himself in his return to the court.
Yeah, it's good to have him back, as we said earlier, but he's just doing a nice job right now, getting that rhythm, finding the open shots and converting them. But he just brings so much to this team, and he's really feeling it right now, that momentum, and it's really carrying the Panthers here today.
Last year, Brock, you would not have seen that much emotion. He is very businesslike, very stoic in how he goes about his basketball business, but you can see he's starting to evolve in a leadership and being more vocal for this Panther squad.
Yeah, and last season when you had a guy, an experienced veteran like Cody Wickman on the team, it was proper for Brock just to kind of take a back seat to Cody. This is his team, let him run the team. But here he is, Brock Stahl, leading scorer, returning back from last year's team, and this is his team right now, and it's showing here today that he's the guy that kind of directs things out there on the court, and the team goes as he goes.
I like that haircut. That is a fresh look.
The way he walks right now, he kind of looks like he's got a little chip on his shoulder. I like that. It's something that is confident, but it's kind of businesslike as well.
So Towns will try to complete the 3-point play. Bell on the foul. That's his 3rd now. And you mentioned, Justin, be careful here if you're Milwaukee, because Loyola, they're up against it. Under 7.5 to play. They need a run, and maybe this is something that ignites them as here's some full court pressure.
Yep, and you see, look at Loyola trying to pick up the pace here by extending full court, and Milwaukee doing a nice job breaking it, but now it's just important for Milwaukee to really worked him on the defensive end right now.
Stahl. Jump stop. How does he do it?
That was a tough shot. He lost his balance there slightly on the jump stop, but was able to still go up and knock down the shot. Nice little kiss off the glass.
19 now for Brock. Krutwig.
Force him over that right shoulder. Or left shoulder, I'm sorry. But showing that he can score right or left shoulder.
Doesn't matter. The big fella scoops it in. Around Prawl for another bucket. He's got 6. Starting his 9th straight game for Loyola. Ramblers stay within striking distance here. Got it down to 13. Milwaukee trying to preserve their 17-point halftime lead. 9 to shoot. Prawl's got it on the baseline. Back to Johnson. Jeremy. Boy, almost travel. Now fires and beats the clock.
And I think Coach Moser there, he's wondering what happened with the travel, and he's telling his defender also to stay down, don't rise up on that.
And play through it. No whistle, so they played on, and Johnson hit. Krutwig cleans up the mess underneath for Loyola, and timeout, Loyola? Yes, Porter Moser will talk about it. We'll take a timeout as well. 5:56 left in regulation in Milwaukee. Jeremy Johnson, toes up, toes down, beat the clock. Bucket there for the Panthers. Lead here in the second half, 61-48 over Loyola. Justin, things have been starting to careen out of control for Milwaukee of late. Last 6 games, the numbers weren't good, but certainly an uptick this afternoon.
Yeah, you see it right there, the stats today versus the last 6 games. But Milwaukee doing a great job, getting some high percentage shots. So that's what's really boosting that field goal percentage. But I like to talk about the defensive end because you're coming off a couple games where teams were just knocking down triples left and right on you. So they've really done a nice job in defending a team like Loyola, who coming into this game was shooting 45% from 3. So, great job, for Coach Baldwin and his staff and getting preparing his team for today. But we still have just under 6 minutes of basketball left. So let's see what we have.
Yeah, defending the 3, but also not giving them many looks. You touched on it, Justin. Teams the past 6 games, they've been having free will from outside the arc. And Pat Baldwin, that was a point of emphasis. Again, film study, work in practice. Got to get to the spots quicker to make sure that guys don't have their open looks. And right now, Loyola, even the open looks aren't going for them.
Yeah, and you really got to work on those closeouts, and that's what you see Milwaukee today is they're really forcing Loyola to put that basketball on the floor because they're really doing a nice job closing out at those shooters.
Barnes, little trap action in the backcourt. That's the man you want handling the basketball. Sets up shop with Enzi, Stahl, Prawl, and Bell. Jeremiah wants a screen, gets it. Roy Williamson hit the deck on that screen. Stahl, floater, bucket and 1. Ties a season high for Brock.
Great job there by Brock, just attacking the basket, and he does a nice job. Looks like he's coming up limping just a little bit, but does a nice job floating that basketball up there. He holds on to that knee after the fact, but looks like he caught a little bit of a bump there with maybe banged knees, but hopefully with that extra padding on there, he'll be all right.
Yeah, it's the right knee that he dinged in Jacksonville. And he's got that sleeve, if you will, that compression sleeve on the right ankle, heavily padded. So Brock knocked this freebie down and a new season high. That's on me. But the lead for Milwaukee is 15. Nice curl by Ingram. Boy, he has been Mr. Elastic Man to the hoop this afternoon.
It's interesting why Milwaukee would have picked up a little bit there. You can see the transition basket, and that's what Loyola's good at, is breaking down defense in transition and converting.
Enzi, timeout. Bryce had nowhere to go, and rather than cough it up, He burns the TO, and Pat Baldwin will regroup the troops. If you want to know if this lead from Milwaukee feels comfortable here with just over 5 to play, all you got to do is look at Pat Baldwin. He's still working the sidelines. He still has that angry scowl on his face. He knows his opponent. He knows what his guys have done in the last 5-6 games. He just wants to see them keep it up, keep your foot on the gas pedal here, and close this team out.
Yeah, and with Coach Baldwin, I love the enthusiasm and the energy he brings to this team, and that's what you want in a head coach, is somebody that really gets out there and promotes this team. He does a nice job getting out amongst the student body on campus, but here today, you can tell he wants this win more than any of those guys out there on the court, because he knows the type of talent he has on this team right now. And for Milwaukee, we're coming up with just over 5 minutes left. They need a big bucket right here to stop this little bit of a run by the Ramblers.
Enzi to Barnes. He'll backpedal with 9 to shoot. Rice launches. Not this time. Rebound Ingram.
And that's where Milwaukee, late in that shot clock now, what you want to do is get some baskets attacking the hoop and get some high percentage shots underneath the basket.
Around the horn we go. Williamson nowhere to go on the baseline. Oh, nice feed. And Williamson will go to the line to try to get points. It goes against Enzi. That's his 4th. But Krutwig, again, you're looking at a freshman and a big guy, light on his feet, eyes in the back of his head. So impressive future for that young man.
It is, and that's what Milwaukee, the defenders are getting caught doing right now, is once that ball goes in, they're turning to see what he's doing in the block, and then they're losing sight of their man. Well, as an offensive player, I'm taught, as soon as my guy turns his head, I'm cutting to the basket. And with a guy like Krutwig who sees the floor so well, he's able to distribute that basketball. And right now, Milwaukee's in a little bit of foul trouble with Enzi picking up his 4th, and you got another guy like Brett Trawl and Jeremiah Bell with 3 apiece. So important for Milwaukee to really buckle down and play some defense.
Panthers' largest lead, it was 20, and now whittled down to 11. Still lots of time on the clock. Loyola converting on 6 of their last 7 field goals. Starting to make a run late here. Barnes bumped and banged all the way down court and lost at OB, but it stays with Milwaukee. And Pat, a little quick coaching lesson there.
And almost look, when he initially caught that pass, he was on it. He was almost falling backwards and regained his balance once he caught it and turned up court. But just Milwaukee looking a little sluggish here right now, these last couple possessions.
Trying to get back into sync. Close this one out at home. Stahl gets play 5 from Pat Baldwin. Rock still with it. Scoop wouldn't go.
Right now, just a little bit too much one-on-one action for the Panthers.
3 ball. Big shot if it goes. It doesn't. For Skopna. And a break for Milwaukee.
Go back, run some offense, and hit the post.
Barnes to Bell. Through the paint. Kicks it to Barnes. 3 ball. Yes!
That is a great shot right there. You saw Jeremiah Bell attack the hoop and get in the heart of that defense, draw the help, and found Bryce Barnes on the opposite corner.
8 now for Barnes, and a big bucket for the Panthers to up the lead to 14 again. Towns thought about it, wouldn't pull the trigger.
Point for Milwaukee now. Loyola's in the bonus. Don't foul, just play defense.
Krutwig, big man, can't connect. And a big exchange there. If Loyola hits that 3, they cut it to 8. Instead, Milwaukee goes and hits a 3. They up the lead to 13, and now they have the basketball with under 3 to go.
This is a big possession for the Panthers. With under 3 to go, they can build this lead up to 16 points, even 17 points. So important for the Panthers to really get a good shot here.
Stahl wants it. Blocked. It'll stay with Milwaukee. Ingram got it, but Bryce Barnes Give it up, and then put it up.
Nice job there. Off penetration. Bryce Barnes, the recipient of a Jeremiah Bell pass. Panthers are now up by 14.
At ETI Physical Therapy
this afternoon against the 10-1 Loyola Ramblers. Now, Coach Lettenberger, 1 on the shot clock, inbound underneath. You call the play.
Let's go inside that huddle, right? Well, for Milwaukee, obviously 1 on the shot clock, so you want your guys to know that, but just important that you might look for some screen-to-screener action here. But most teams, what they'll do is they'll try and throw that ball right in front of the rim and see if one of their bigs can go get it. A team like Loyola, who's athletic and long, my guess is maybe you can get something out in one of the corners, one of the guards, slipping a screen or something and just catch and shoot from 3 quick.
So 2:41 left. Panthers lead is 14. They're trying to snap a 2-game losing skid. Get back in the win column. Take 6 days off until they face Western Michigan before Christmas. And that'll close out their non-conference season. And then after Christmas, you get Oakland here at home. Golden Grizzlies. Horizon League preseason poll says Oakland is going to win the league this year.
Yeah, it's a tough couple of games for the Panthers coming up here, and it'd be nice to get this one under the belt right away, opening up that homestand, because it just gives you that much more confidence going in, wrapping up the non-conference slate against Western Michigan, and then if you're able to rattle off 2, then all of a sudden you have a lot of confidence going into the Horizon League matchups.
All right, 1 second. Let's see if they listen to Justin. Bell, catch and shoot. Wipe it away.
That's what I call, but what Bell failed to realize there is he could have just slipped right to the basket and had an easy layup on the initial screen. The defense reacted so much to Brock coming off those screens that all he had to do was step inside that lane and he had a layup.
So Loyola, they need points in bunches and they need it quickly. Install with a foul. That's the first for Brock. Bonus now for Loyola. Again, they'll shoot the rest of the way here. And it'll be Satterwhite at the stripe.
Now, if you're Milwaukee, important that you box out here and on a miss and get this rebound. If he happens to make both of them, look for some pressure.
Got the first. Loyola just 4 team fouls, so they can be scrappy here and they can still afford to be aggressive and not put the Panthers at the line. You see that pressure again after the made shot there. Back in comes Skokna. Bruno in the last game, Justin, had 18 off the bench in their big win over Norfolk State. He's been quiet this afternoon. Here's that pressure. Get it into Haas, and August races into the front court. Barnes on the trampoline. And there you go. There's Loyola's going to just go all ball, knowing they have 2 to give before putting Milwaukee at the line. That's 3 on Williamson.
It'll be interesting to see if Coach Baldwin goes a little bit offense-defense here in some of these fouls. NZ is still on the bench right now. It'd be nice to get some size in on the defensive end and get an extra rebounder.
Looks like they're running the picket fence here. And there's Prawl. Block, but foul. Contact underneath. Brett was all alone on an island in the lane, and then Ingram manages to catch up from behind, and you can see major hack job from behind.
That's what you call a hard fall right there. Don't let him get that shot off. It was illegal, foul, but didn't let him get the shot off. And here you see Bryce Enzi looking at checking in. Maybe they'll hold him up for a second.
Yeah,
but
thinking about it.
They're telling him you got 4 fouls. Just hold off right now. So
Crutwood will come in for the Ramblers. 10 now for Brett, trying to make it 11 at the stripe.
You see him check in for Haas here.
He splits them.
Watch Loyola looking for a quick ball screen maybe, or hit the post and kick out for 3.
Krutwig, the back down, Prawl right there, and Krutwig Not even sure where he was. It'll stay with Loyola. He just put it on the rim and hoped for the best.
He knew the rim was somewhere around there.
Yeah. He needed the GPS
he did
to help him out.
Better than most of us would do in that situation.
Clearly.
I know, Bob, you could probably say that in confidence that you would have put that in the hoop off the glass, but
in rec ball, yeah. At the YMCA, no problem. Not here at Division I college basketball level. And this Krutwig wants to give it up and does to Ingram. Pops the quick three. And the soft rim, not soft enough. 1:45 left. And a backcourt foul. That's the 7th team foul now. So Milwaukee will go to the line, 1-1. Trying to preserve the 13-point cushion here. And Barnes, 72% free throw shooter. Doesn't get the front end.
Milwaukee still a lot of time left in this game yet. Milwaukee has to convert on these free throws.
Towns, drive and kick, corner three, Ingram. Oh, in and out. That's been all afternoon for Loyola. When they do get a good look, nothing doing. Front court, Enzi goes up and flushes.
Nice pass there. And a great finish by Enzi. Good job overall by the Panthers breaking that pressure.
Bryson double digits. And a block on the other end by Enzi. The wingspan comes into play.
It's nice to see him contest that shot and block that shot. Just obviously, we just don't want something where you get some body contact and you put him at the line shooting three free throws. But nice job there by Enzi on the offensive end, and then coming back on defense and showing his ability down here.
Trigger by Williamson into Ingram. Satterwhite, nice dump down, and the finish by Towns. They'll pick up full court here, down by 13. Stoll's got to get it in, does to Haas. And a foul on Ingram. So August walks the other way for the 1-1. Panthers today at the line, 8 of 13. Haas, just 56% at the stripe. Doesn't get a whole lot of opportunities to get there. His job is to run the show when he's in there. Skopna will come in for Ingram. So here's the young man from Denmark. You gotta do that, Justin. You gotta lean, just like in bowling when the ball's not, going the right direction. You just gotta lean sometimes and push it in.
That's all you need. Just takes a little bit of leaning, and some guys just like to walk it in, like putt.
Body angle. Oh yeah,
putting on a golf course.
We all do that. Haas out. Jeremy Johnson in for Milwaukee. Panthers going to go to 7-5, drop Loyola to 10-2. And a tripping foul there. Either Barnes or Jeremy Johnson got a piece of Skopna.
And that's the last thing you want if you're Coach Moser right now is another one of your players to go down with an injury. They had a gentleman, one of the players in the lineup today actually was out of the lineup because in warm-ups he got injured. So a little bit of an injury bug for the Ramblers. But
Kristen Negran, he missed the first 3 games of the season for Loyola because of an injury. And then in warm-ups, today, they planned on having him in part of the rotation. He went down. Tough break there. And missing on the front end. Brock fouled immediately by Satterwhite. They'll walk the other way.
I'll tell you what, you have to commend Coach Baldwin and more specifically the players for really responding to that challenge here today, going up against a team like Loyola, who's one of the top teams offensively in the nation, shooting a high percentage, and here they are with under a minute left and only 56 points on the board.
Team that came in averaging nearly 78 a contest. Tip of the cap to the Panther D. Ingram with 40 seconds left. Satterwhite launches, rattles out. And then a foul in the backcourt will send Stahl the other way. That's Williamson. That's his fourth. We talked with Pat Baldwin before, got all the X's and O's out of the way in our pregame conversation. And then I closed by asking him, how do you like being a head coach? A couple months in, and he didn't hesitate. Said, I love it. Love the challenge. Love all the responsibilities that come with being a head coach. It's what you do. When you're in the coaching business, as long as Pat has been an assistant coach, you strive someday to put your own footprint on a basketball team. And that's what he's starting to do, and he's lapping it up. Doesn't sleep much, but no head coach does.
Exactly, and early on here in his head coaching career, he started off with a nice road win against Iowa State, and then here you are today at home against a very good, very talented Loyola Rambler basketball team. But I really like what he brings to this team, just on the court as far as coaching, but then off the court, getting involved with the students. I saw, he was over at the campus union giving away free coffee to the students. Obviously, finals are just around the corner, so really nice job for Coach Baldwin and having a presence for the Panthers student body and this team.
You hear the expression, a nice W? This W is more than nice. This was exceptional by Milwaukee this afternoon. They win it in convincing fashion over Loyola, 73-56. Send the Ramblers to just their second loss of the season, and Milwaukee, in the process, gets off the schneid. They break that two-game losing skid, and now get 6 days off until they play their next game next Friday night back here at home. And Brock Stahl, tip of the cap to him as well. He returns to the fold. 23 points, a new season high for Brock.
Yeah, great job here today by Brock, just getting back into the lineup and providing a nice offensive spark for the Panthers. You see him knocking down some triples, and then, even in the second half, attacking the basket and hitting some nice little floaters in the lane.
Even working inside, had the hot hand from outside in the first half, and then changed up his game to be more lethal in the paint. So Brock gonna corral Brock and get his thoughts on returning to the fold here. So high fives all around at Panther Arena as they return home to be victorious over Loyola. Got Brock all wired up, sitting courtside with us. Brock, congratulations on the W. Some guys take a little time to get back in the rhythm when they've been out a couple games, but you looked hungry from the get-go to get back out there and contribute right away.
Right. I mean, while you're watching the team and everything, like practice, you're just so anxious to get back out there. And I think kind of humbled me not to take everything for granted during the last couple weeks, But I mean, this was everything you could ask for. The team played great. We knew we scouted this team pretty hard, knowing that just came off a pretty impressive win at Florida. And then what they did to us last year, we wanted to get them back. So this was definitely a game on our schedule.
And Brock, obviously, not having a guy like Cody Wickman this year, who had more of that leadership role last season, this year, you're kind of taking on more of that leadership role. Talk about that and what your experience is, obviously, as a football player, a quarterback position, how that's translated onto the basketball court.
Right. It's definitely something the coaches want to get more out of me. They just kind of talk about it. And, in order for us to be good, I think everyone needs to kind of get out of their comfort zone. And I think that's what we did tonight. And super successful, everyone played great.
You guys have struggled, and you saw it from having to watch from the bench, struggling to defend the three. Much better defensively outside the arc this afternoon. Talk about what Coach Baldwin has done during practice and film sessions to point things out so you guys could be better defending the three?
I mean, like all year long, we, like first thing in practice we do is make sure we close out high hands, trying to defend the three. And I think it was more just like us not doing it rather than not working on it, but, just having a bad taste in our mouth from the two losses, we knew this was we were just hungry tonight, and that's just what happened.
And Brock, obviously, you're fresh off a win against Loyola here. You got Western Michigan coming up here next week. Talk about what you're going to be doing to prepare yourselves coming up this next week, leading into that game against Western Michigan.
I think the same thing. Our team this past week kind of sat down. We knew just trying to figure out what needs to be corrected. And that just was everyone, getting out of their comfort zone. Carson, we told him, you can't be a freshman anymore. It's too long in the year. We only got one. Everyone just needs to kind of, like I said, get out of their comfort zone, and good things will happen.
Brock, on a salute to Star Wars Day, the Force was with you guys. Certainly. Congratulations on the W.
All right, thank you.
Brock Stull, season high for him. We're out of here. For my partner, Justin Lettenberger. Oh my, they're everywhere. And our entire crew, Bob Grader saying so long from Panther Arena in Milwaukee. Once again, the final score, Milwaukee over Loyola, 73-56. You've been watching college basketball on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Good afternoon, everybody in Wisconsin.